I'm SP from Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a show about the general Marvel comic universe, part of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other hilarious and fun geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
Hey friends, Josh here. Today I'm just dropping in to say hello. I hope everything is going well in your world. Today's episode is a small chunk that's really TV renewal specific from one of my other shows, which is called My Old Hands. This chunk is with the founder and co-host, co-creator and writer, producer, editor, everything pretty much, from arguably the most loved and particularly petitioned for new content travel shows of all time, which is the Canadian show Departures. So I won't hold you up any longer now. This is Scott Wilson, the co-creative force behind Departures, filling us in as to whether there will be a season 4 and maybe what it's going to take for that to happen. It's really fascinating, and it really kind of, even though My Old Hands isn't so much about just TV, it really did scratch my TV itch, getting to ask someone about maybe a non-scripted television show, how that gets a renewal, and you're going to get a feel for just how insanely dedicated their audience is, even now that the show's been off the air for over 10 years. Okay, thanks again for listening. I'll be back with a full-blown On the Bubble podcast with all the bells and whistles soon. Thank you for sticking with the show, and I hope the rest of your August is fantastic. Righto, let's jump in with Scott Wilson from Departures. Your show is the only non-scripted, non-sci-fi or fantasy show that I can think of that has such a rabid fan base that just continues to grow and is still screaming for a season 4. So 2 things. How does that make you feel to know that you're getting the kind of long-term, I won't say cult love, but it feels like what a cult show does, like when people want Firefly to come back or some sci-fi or fantasy show where they live it and breathe it. It's the only travel show, certainly, that I can think of that people act like that and they post about it and they want to know when season 4 is coming. So how does that make you feel? And what's the reality of making something like that happen again? Whether it's happening or not, you don't have to say, but how does season 4, theoretically, of Departures come to be?
How does it make me feel? Incredibly proud and incredibly appreciative to a very vocal, not this massive fan base, but the fan base that's there has always been so supportive and so vocal of what we've done from day one. Incredibly appreciative of that. And it blows my mind that, we're 10 plus years on from that project and people are still hungry for more. And it hasn't fallen on deaf ears. I know sometimes through social media, I don't always get back to every single person who asks openly about when there is going to be a season 4 and if there will and all of that. The message is always the same, is that, yes, we are open to it. It's not something that, because we don't talk anymore, that could never happen, or there's bad blood, or that Andre and I have sworn off ever doing it again or anything like that. It's just that, there's always been some sort of new creative outlet. There's always been some new idea. There's always been something that's just sort of fallen in our lap in front of that. And so it's not that we've avoided it or anything else. It's that we really do want to do that. It's just more a matter of finding a network that is a good fit. For a long time, there wasn't anyone there or seemingly listening to that idea. Yeah, so it's not a matter of that we don't want to do it. It's just it's been trying to find the right partner network for we've barked up that tree a few times with a few different networks and partners to see if it was a go, and it doesn't seem to be. We've flirted with the idea of just trying to do kind of a fan fund, and do we kind of revisit it as a big grand send off? Those are all options. So everything's on the table with it, and no, the project is not a dead project by any means. it's maybe one that's just been on hiatus, is the way we like to say, until the right opportunity comes forward. And we will certainly be putting, and always have put, a lot of pressure on ourselves that if we do revisit somewhat of a legacy project from our standpoint, that it has to be bigger and better than it was. The last thing we want to do is to try to breathe life into a legacy project that we're so incredibly proud of, and then one that so many people love and have a strong relationship with, and not give it justice, whether that's because of time budget, money budget, whatever it is. We want to make sure that we raise the bar, and that when the time comes, that it gets the attention it deserves.
And you guys have, I guess, a responsibility to people, particularly over the last few years. There's a lot of people like me that were using it as a way to travel in their minds to other places that they couldn't actually get to. And it was almost like comfort viewing. So if anything now and moving forward, there's an increased responsibility for it to be either great or not happen. I guess you don't really have an option for it to be okay. So,
hey, for the better part of between 5 and 10 years now, I would say, from our experience, the TV networks have really kind of been a hard pass on anything travel related. And the only way around that was, well, we'll do a travel show as long as you tie someone really famous to it. And, if it's like Ryan Reynolds travels the world or something like that. Yeah. And I get that. I mean, hey, I would watch that show, but at the same time, again, I think that there was a big appeal with normal nobodies like us doing that travel because of, again, the authenticity that came along with it, and the struggles that were very real that came along with it. And so my hope is that now, in a kind of post-COVID world, if we can use that term, that there is a real hunger for travel again, and that the TV networks will see and appreciate that, and want to go after it for authentic content once again. And we can, whether it's Departure Season 4, whether it's a continuation or new ideas that we have ready to go as well, we certainly hope that they'll take it up.
Okay, guys, thank you once again for listening. That was from a longer episode, an over 50-minute episode with the man himself, Scott Wilson, from my show, My Old Hands. Thank you so much for sticking with On the Bubble podcast. I know I haven't been all that active with new episodes, but I've actually got 3 different episodes that are about 70 or 80% done. So you're going to see a few more of these coming over the next few months. Just have to get my act into gear and finish them off. Okay, everything can be found over at jcaldigital.org. For On the Bubble podcast specifically, make sure you check out gunnergeek.com. Thank you to the legends over there for continuing to support my show, and thank you to you for listening. Your time's valuable, and I really appreciate you spending some of it with me. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.